What is the best monoblock amplifier for under 250 bucks? We're gonna answer that question right now, so hang out. Okay, so this question comes up quite a bit, especially in our store. What's the best amp that I can get to run a set of 10s or 12s or a single 10 or 12 for under about 250 bucks? I thought that this would be a great video to do. And originally I was going to take the 5 amplifiers that we have in the running and test them in actual real world application. So I was gonna put it in a vehicle. I was gonna take the DD1 and I was going to test for distortion and set the gain. And then from there, we were going to take the AMM1 and measure for power. And then I was going to actually get an SPL meter and see what type of output these amplifiers actually do. But because of our current global pandemic, I'm unable to get all these amplifiers here at one time. So I'm gonna be rating these amplifiers on our 3 criteria, okay? So number 1, overall quality. So we're talking about build quality and sound quality, all right? And then we're talking about power, right? So not just necessarily the power that's on paper, but actual power that this thing's able to put out, like good, clean, deep bass, like what we've been able to experience when we install these in customers' vehicles. And then 3, value, or what you get for the money, all right? So those are the 3 criteria in which we're gonna name number 5 through number 1. So I have 2 amplifiers here, and the other 3 we're just gonna talk about, and we'll go over the specs and everything online. So let's just get to it. So the first amplifier that we're gonna talk about is the Alpine S-A60M, and this is a 2 ohm stable amplifier. And on this amplifier, when you get it and you open it up, you actually get a certificate, and the certificate will give you the actual power that it gets that it got measured at Alpine's facility. And this one actually measured at 851 watts. So really good considering it's 600 watts. So it gives you a lot more than it says it does. And it's a decent size amp, or I should say it's a decently small amp for the amount of power that it puts out. But let's just kind of go over the connections here. All right, so you have a low level and high level input. There's just an RCA input. So if you're using low level, obviously just use your RCAs. If you're using high level, you take those RCAs, you cut them, and then you send your signal in through the high level and then set the switch here for high level. All right, and then there is a pre-out. So if you're doing another amplifier, you have your gain, and then you have your low pass filter, and it's variable from 50 hertz all the way up to 400, not that you would ever go that high. And then you have your bass EQ. From 0 to 12 dB, and then you have an optional remote bass control. Okay, so that's sold separately, and I want to say the price on that is about 39 bucks for that. And then on your connections, they do give you a 4 gauge input on the battery on ground, so that's good. So this amplifier comes in at, it actually just got reduced. It was around 250. Alpine reduced the price to $199, so a really good value. All right, so that's one of the amps in the running. Okay, so the second amp we're gonna talk about is the kicker, and this is CX800.1 monoblock amplifier. So out of the bunch that we have here, this one is rated on paper at least the most power. All right, so let's take a look at some of the specs. To get that 800 watts, you do gotta load it down to 1 ohm. And another thing to note is this is the only amplifier that's 1 ohm stable within this bunch. Okay, everything else is gonna be 2 ohm stable. Okay, then you have your crossover, variable from 50 hertz all the way to 200 hertz, and that's at a 12 dB octave. Then there is a subsonic filter preset at 25 hertz at 24 dB per octave. And then they also have a what they call a kick EQ boost, which is your bass boost essentially, and it's variable from 0 to 6 dB, and the frequency in which it boosts is 40 hertz. Let's take a look at the side of this amplifier. All right, so you have your inputs, your outputs, your gain, your crossover, your bass boost, and then remote bass knob. So this one does not come with a remote bass knob either. All right, so that's going to be around 40 bucks as well. All right, so this comes in just under that 250 mark at 249.95. Okay, so next on the list is JL Audio's JD500/1, and this is a 500 watt amplifier at 2 ohms. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the specs here. So you have a 12 dB octave crossover, variable from 50 hertz to 500 hertz. Then you have the bass boost EQ, and then the optional remote subwoofer level, which is the RBC1, which is 50 bucks for that. Let's take a look at the way this thing looks on the side. All right, so you have crossover input sensitivity, which is your gain. And then this does have remote turn on signal sensing. And then you have your voltage input. So on this, similar to the Alpine, so if you're just doing low level, just plug your RCAs in. If you're doing high level, then you take an RCA, you cut it, and then high level input, and then just make sure you select that. And then your remote level control plugin is here, and then your bass boost. And then this amplifier is coming in at $229, all right? Okay, next we'll go ahead and look at the Memphis. I do have this one in stock. This is the SRX500d.1, and this amplifier is a popular amp for us. Memphis makes a lot of really good amplifiers for bass. They also make really good subwoofers. So it's one of our #1 selling brands in our store. And this one is rated 500 watts times 1 at 2 ohms. And then on the side of it, we have bass EQ from 0, 6, and 12 dB. So just selectable, but not variable. Low pass crossover, it ranges from 30 hertz to 250 hertz. There is a subsonic filter that is variable from 15 hertz up to 50 hertz. And then there's your gain. And then this has your low level inputs. And then on your high level inputs, it actually comes with a harness. So instead of having to cut an RCA and putting it into low level and hitting the switch, you just high level input through that harness. All right. And then that's your other side there for your connections. And this does come with the bass knob included. Okay, so that's the Memphis amplifier, and that comes in at $239. Okay, so for the last amplifier on the list is the Rockford R2-500x1. So this is 500 watts times 1 at 2 ohms. Okay, so this has an adjustable crossover between 50 and 250 hertz, and that's at 12 dB. There is a infrasonic filter that's variable from 15 hertz up to 40 hertz. And then, of course, this has your bass boost, and your bass boost is variable from 0 to 18 dB, set at 45 hertz, okay? All right, so let's take a look at the top of this amplifier on the connections. So this one does have an auto remote turn on, so signal sensing in a sense. Your bass EQ, then you have your frequency, crossover, infrasonic filter, and then the gain. Looks like you have 4 gauge inputs, also high level input through a harness instead of having to cut that RCA. And then of course your low level one does have a pass through as well. This one does have the bass knob included, so definitely a plus. That one comes in at $219. Okay, so coming in at number 5 is the Memphis SRX500.1. So a great little amplifier, does your 500 watts, does have high level input, does have a bass knob included, and it's extremely reliable. Okay, number 4, JL Audio's JD500/1. Now this amplifier has excellent sound quality, especially for bass. That's kind of what JL's known for, and this one's no different. Okay, number 3 is Rockford Fosgate's R2-500x1. Okay, so this amplifier is the smallest of the bunch and does put out that ground pounding bass that Rockford's known for. Also has a bass knob included, so that's a huge plus. Okay, so I'm gonna skip number 2 and we're gonna do number 1. But before we do that, make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe to our channel. So the best monoblock amplifier for under $250 for 2020 is the Alpine S-A60M. And now this amplifier does tons of power. So Alpine has been known for creating some of the best car stereo for many decades. Small in size, lots of power, has all the right features, and is only priced at $199. Now granted, you don't get the bass knob included. In some cases you don't need it, but if you do, it's only about 39 bucks. So that is our winner for this category. We've had extremely good success with this amplifier in our store. Every car we put it in have not been disappointed, and if you decide to pick up this amplifier, I guarantee you will not be disappointed either. Okay, so obviously the number 2 spot goes to Kicker's CA800.1. On paper, it's the most power of the bunch. It's relatively small in size, and it's a name brand amp, so what more can you ask for? Another thing to note is, according to CEA Outlook, that amplifier is the #1 selling amplifier in the world. So hard to argue that, but Alpine did edge it out, mainly because of the price. If the Alpine was at the $250 price, I probably would have picked the Kicker, but because this amplifier is $249, it took the second spot. Okay, if you're interested in any of these amplifiers, just click the links in the description below. That'll take you directly to the product page, but because of the pandemic, make sure that it's available before you buy it. If we don't have it in stock, we'll try to get it to you as soon as possible. Again, my name is Josh. I'm from Breaker Stereo and Performance. Thanks for watching.